Hope y'all are doing well. So before we get into anything else, I wanted to revisit or continue this topic just a little bit, to look at a couple things. There's my ever standing partner in crime, ever available. The only friend I have, it's Sammy, and the crowd goes wild. Hold on, come here. There you go. Now lay down. Lay down and don't fuss. It's rainy, so I figured it'd be another good morning to touch base, see how you guys are doing, and continue this talk just a little bit, because I do believe that this affects everything that we're seeing in society today. And I think it's been a long time coming. We are seeing the fruition of, or reaping, what we, and I mean that as a collective society, not labeling anyone as a criminal or anything like that, what we as a society have come to because of never-ending propaganda or streams of propaganda. And propaganda is different than news. It doesn't deliver facts. It delivers you a story in a particular framework so that you leave. For example, if you watch a show on Dateline, and they know how it ends, and they know, that this accused person goes to jail, they want to sway you to that belief that that person did something wrong. Do you see what I'm saying? They already set up the perspective that they want you to have, and that's what we're seeing in the world today, is this augmented reality. And I believe, again, it's multifaceted. There are different reasons this is happening, but it's happening on a massive scale, and that's why so many of us have very similar stories, because they're basically using a script on groups of people, but it seems that there are only 2 or 3 scripts. So, oh, there, I wanted to make sure that the comments were on. Sorry about that. Now, we ended here yesterday in the programming terminology and verbiage and definitions of some of this on this deprogramming wiki site. Now, there are others, but this one has compiled. Every time you click on one of these in the table of contents, for example, when you click on a chapter, it will take you to that chapter, but it is like taken from references from another book, so it sends you to where you can find more information on these topics, and those are the types of sources that I like to have so we can make up our own minds about something. Good morning. I hope you're well. Thanks for being here. Hold, please. And today's drink is alkaline water. So let's get this out of the way. Everything shared here today is per the Fair Use Act of 1976 for the purposes of and or education, criticism. Oh, and I forget the other one, entertainment, I think. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not of any type of the cloth or the clergy. And this is not medical, legal, or professional advice. I am just a person sharing my experiences, and what I do is when I have a personal experience with something, I go and see if there's research available about that something, right? I don't just go with an idea or concept I already have and I want to back that up with biased information. So I only search for information that backs up my claims. Rather, I'm investigating to see if this thing is a real phenomenon or something in my mind or something unique to me, an anomaly. And I think research works better that way, because you're not trying to fit the research to fit your concept or idea. You are going with the facts and then formulating your hypothesis that way. Hey, good morning. So I wanted to continue on this because there are a few interesting chapters here. And again, I think it tells us what is happening today. If we could diagnose the problem, much like car diagnostics or a health checkup or troubleshooting, if we can diagnose the problem, then we can move on to solutions and or ways to allow these things to not affect us, to kind of bounce off of us, to have a shield of armor up, basically, spiritually speaking. So let's continue here, because there's a few interesting things that I wanted to point out to you. Everybody is welcome here. I try to follow Christ's law to love everybody. No, I don't believe that we should be in willful continued sin. If, for example, if I cannot go to church and take the Eucharist because I get a divorce, then I don't believe that certain other people should either if they are still in active sin. And I'm speaking of that small sect of the rainbow community, not the entire community. Okay? But there's something here that I want you to take a look at. These are different programming scripts that they use, or archetypes, right? Or what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know. These are different scripts that they program people with. And there's an interesting one here. If you look at 1.55, what does that say? The big G, role confusion programming. Female subjects are programmed with male attributes, and male subjects are programmed with female attributes. For males, he wants to be a girl. He desires to grow up to be a woman. For females, she wants to be a boy. She desires to grow up to be a man. They have a marked interest in female, or he or she has a marked interest in female or male activities, including playing with dolls or playing the roles of girls, boys, men, or women. He or she has an intense interest in normal female, things normally attributed to females, like cosmetics, jewelry, clothes, hair, right? And for women, it would be maybe an interest in cars, mechanics, things of that nature, which, I'm totally a tomboy and interested in those things. So again, we have to approach these topics with balance. Samir, what do you remember about color is above on a rainbow? Don't look at pictures before answering. It is possible, Mandela, speaking about the rainbow community. Oh, Roy G. Biv is the acronym we were taught in my school. Red, orange, yellow. I'm an artist, so I use the primary colors a lot, and I mix them a lot to make other colors when I actually paint and have time, and I'm not bogged down and blocked like I am now. I could use some prayer. I really could. I could use a friend, like a real life friend, to have coffee with. So I thought that was very interesting with what we are seeing today, and we know who is the author of confusion, right? And what interests me a lot about human psychology and human spirituality is we're dealing with principalities and powers, right? When we look at the hierarchy. And so what I would want to know is, are there specific demons that are regarded in certain issues? So for example, I'm going to search something out. I thought purple was above. Purple is the color for royalty, but it's not the color that you begin with, because red and blue make purple. So when you start, you see a gradient effect with the rainbow. Red is next to orange because they're close in tone, right? Then you have yellow, which is a lighter version of like orange with less red. You see what I mean? So it's a gradient. What's the word? It's early today. It is a gradient decrease, increase in pigment or tone. And so you see similar colors that are side by side. Roy G. Biv, that's why you see indigo and violet at the end there next to each other, because they are close in tone. And when you mix colors, for example, you get either darker or lighter. So one way you'll see things get a little darker into the middle, and then towards the end you see things lighten up again. That's what I learned in school about colors and mixing colors. Purple is for royalty. You mix red and blue together. The three primary colors that cannot be made from any other colors. What are they? Do you guys know? Yellow, you can't make that from any other color. Blue, you can't make that from another color. And is it red? No, because is orange and yellow red? No. Yeah, it's red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors, because you can't make them from other colors. Yeah, thanks. No problem. So we see what they're saying here. So I want to look something up real quick. and see if it works out. I'm also an artist. That's awesome. Related to gender. Oh, let's do this. Gender confusion. Okay, now I'm not saying everyone in this community has a demon, so let's not put words in my mouth. I don't make blanket statements. I'm simply looking for solutions and reasons of why these things are happening in our society and to the people that we love, to our friends, to our communities. And if we can be healed of these things and cured of these things, things could really calm down around us, I believe. So I just want to see if there is an actual demon, okay, who is attributed to that. So just hang on. We're going to look at this real quick because I like that header right there. 1975 psychiatrist Robert Stoller of the University of Cali, Los Angeles, wrote something bizarre in his textbook on sex and gender. He asserted that people who were assumed to be boys when they were born, but whose gender identity expression did not match that assumption, often have pretty faces with fine hair, lovely complexions, graceful movements, and especially big, piercing, liquid eyes. Based on this observation, he suggested a theoretical model in which you see the word there, girls become that because they are especially cute. Society treats them more like girls, he reasoned. And because of this, I mean, you see that sometimes. You see a more feminine, what do they call that? Effeminate behavior. Which can be caused, again, by hormones and antibiotics in the water and in the food. This is why clean eating is very important to keep your self-control, which is a gift of God's Holy Spirit, to keep self-control of your emotions and any personal demons that you may have. And by that, I mean vices or destructive habitual behaviors. I hope that makes sense. Sorry. Please do give a thumb up if you understand the verbiage. It likely won't help the channel because it's so small, but it lets me know if you guys are interested in the topic and if you understand the verbiage and the vocabulary that I'm using. If not, I can make adjustments. So, anyways, I want to see, usually there is a demon, okay, that is related to everything. Demon, dominion, right? Those words have the same root. And so I'm looking for I'm looking for a name. Okay, that's actually what I'm looking for. Is a name. And see, hold please, because I want to show you something. Hopefully I'm not doxing myself there. In the library here, I have that book that we were looking at. Where did it go? The Fallen Angels. Okay, so you guys still there? Yeah, it does that a lot. Okay, so we started looking into the names of the demons, okay? But I'm looking for one that is specifically assigned that his dominion is over the gender of people, right? And let's look at Baphomet real quick because Baphomet is like they don't even have Baphomet in here, do they? Now that's bizarre. That should be like one of the main names that you have in a book like this. And I totally did not agree with everything in here. It said one of the agendas of the end times will be getting people to eat vegan. And I do believe, and this is just my opinion, I'm not telling anyone else what to do and I'm not judging you. Trust me, because I still eat meat at times. It's very difficult to change once you've been raised like that. However, I do believe the cleaner you eat and the better you treat your temple, the less issues that you're going to have, right? The less confusion and the less stormy, tumultuous, let's say, spiritual activity that you'll have around you if you are maintaining your self-control and if you are as quote unquote clean on the inside as possible. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I honestly think it's Baphomet because Baphomet is both genders. Okay, so we're gonna have to search one more thing, and we're using DuckDuckGo today because though it is associated, connected to Google somehow, still it does give you different search results, and I want that. I want to go into a little more deeper, let's say, edge of the pool here to get more in-depth information on how we can avoid these setups and scenarios in modern day society because we're bombarded with marketing constantly, whether it's online, on the television, at work, everywhere, even people's clothes, much like Idiocracy, there's constantly something being advertised. So let's see, let's see if I can find anything on this. Let's see if I can prove my theory, okay? Okay, so we got Baphomet there, allegedly worshipped by the Knights Templar, which we know at this point, there's a lot of people worshiping Baphomet. And my theory on how that's related to Bigfoot and all the cutie Bigfoot stuff that we're seeing as well. Now, it appeared in trial transcripts for the Inquisition of the Knights Templar. And again, we have to be very careful with history because often the good guys are made bad, the bad guys are made good. We're seeing this happen right now. A lot of what's being censored, we really don't have a voice out there because everything we try to say against certain things is getting drowned out only because the other side is louder. It first came into popular English usage in the 19th century during debate and speculation on the reasons for the suppression of the Templar Order. Baphomet is a symbol of balance, in various occult and mystical traditions, which actually makes sense because they have some male and some female attributes. And it's important to note as well that in the Old Testament, it was said certain godly men were actually born with horns. It's also a thing in alchemy in some Indian, I believe, with the blue guy. Very interesting, actually, to look into. It really is, yes. So alchemy, the end result in Gnosticism, again, the breakaway Gnosticism, I guess maybe extreme or radical Gnosticism, is their last, work, I believe, has to be, or is supposed to be, able to change the physiology of their own matter, meaning their own physical form, from female into male or male into female, but ideally it's a balance of both of those. And it's something that's supposed to be done without surgery. Alchemy is the mixture of humans. God made humans basically from alchemy. It's the same process, right? You have the earth, air, fire, water, you use the elements and you mix them up. Yes, something like that. Yeah, I mean, I try to explain things in as a broken down or laymanistic way so that it's more understandable for a diverse group of people. What I'm doing here is kind of trolling in the deep waters, trying to, be a fisher of men and women and children, if possible, and to, point the way and give them some hope and show them that we're not just here like being drug along and things happening to us. We do have sovereignty and free will, and we're going to talk about consent in a minute here. Sorry about that. Sometimes we come into agreement with these spirits or things, and we don't even realize it, and we bring tumultuous issues and chaotic, erratic, let's say, environmental behaviors that is directly around our environment. Like you're continuously losing or misplacing your keys, right? You set them on the table. Your house is pretty clean, but they're not there anymore. Things like that happening all the time. That is the beginning of a demonic infestation in somebody's surroundings. Even certain synchronistic things that happen and people want to say, oh, that's a good thing. You have to test the spirit because they're not always good things when you dig a little bit deeper. Synchronistic events are also diabolical in nature at times, meaning they come from the demonic. Okay. So again, I'm not a teacher, right? I'm a layman. but I'm trying to help people and share my story because we defeat our enemy with the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And by sharing the word of our testimonies, we can say, hey, your story is so similar to mine. Why is that when we're thousands of miles apart? Oh my, it seems like they're running mass mind control on people, via the media through Project Mockingbird, for example. By talking, and this is why they don't want us to gather, because they don't want us sharing our stories with each other and finding these commonalities, because then our quote unquote conspiracy theories are more than theories and they are proven as fact. Okay, this is, and you have to understand these beings, these people, these souls, these spirits that are here with us, that are doing these things, are in fear of us, of the minority, of the people who have repented or are trying to repent. Because number one, we're kind of an anomaly to them. They don't know why we would do such a thing. And they've bought the lie, right? That there's nothing after this. They might as well live it up and make a deal with Satan or whatever. And honestly, it doesn't always come out with a contract and somebody knocking on your door. Oftentimes it's something sneaking in, right? And so if we open these doors or these windows or even just a crack, sometimes that is seen upon as legal rights for these things to enter into our spiritual radius. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Again, please do give a thumbs up if you understand the verbiage that's being used here. Okay, since 1856. Oh, wait. Some occultists have attempted to link with the Gnostics and Templars, although occasionally purported to be a deity or a demon. So it says he's a form of balance in various occult traditions. And again, I want to have some balance in bringing this information to you as well. So we have to remember, was it Moses or Noah? It's because the mind is free. The mind control don't have a good effect on some. Government is mind control, control of the mind. And I think a lot of these celebrities and celebrity politicians, I don't even know that they're real people. I think they've been using AI on us for a long, long time. Because looking back, especially when you're a TI, when you recognize that things are happening in an orchestrated way around you, like a circus or a movie. Oh my gosh, and I never experienced that mobbing thing until yesterday. I had never known what it was, this street theater, when people allegedly mob you. But a woman had started talking to me in the doggy aisle, and only one associate was there, kind of stuck in a bottom shelf. And then, like, three more came at us from the same side of the aisle, but from both directions, pushing a buggy in there. And like, the woman's like, oh no, you can go past me. I got to look for my dog stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I just sort of stood there, but they pushed me out of the way. And all four of these employees, maybe, we're in the same aisle doing the same thing at the same time. It's like they literally did not want me and this woman connecting. It was the most bizarre thing I think I've ever seen. I did not see your last comment, and when I click here now, it's not showing. So if you want to just when that happens, guys, if I miss your comment and you want me to see it, just bump it up. Type the word bump or type a little star, asterisk or something. That way it populates back on the screen. It's what I have to deal with doing all of this from a cell phone. I wish that I had a laptop or a camera even, but I do not. I had played with the idea of asking for donations for those issues, but I donate myself. I still try to donate, a little bit of money for my disability every month. And no, I'm not on disability for any mental issues at all whatsoever. It was for hurting my back in healthcare and a diagnosis of fibromyalgia after I had to receive a certain injectable while I was working in healthcare. All of my health problems started after that, so. But I was always in the hospitals, and looking back as a TI, I can see certain times in my life when things happened, like people knowing my name when I'm on vacation, that shouldn't have known my name, that shouldn't have known me. I should have been a stranger to them. And as soon as I catch on, I never see or hear from that person again. Just like I posted a girl rapper who I thought could really flow really well. I really liked how she flowed, but I put up parental advisory because there was cussing in it. And I posted that on Facebook when I still had a bunch of followers and I was doing the makeup thing and inspirational videos or whatever. And She said, that is garbage. Why would you share that? Don't you know people look up to you and you're a role model? And I'm like, what do you mean? And then the other girl talking about being a fangirl, so she wanted to be there when I got when my I let my friend take professional pictures of me for her, allegedly for her business, for the expansion of her business, but it was for something nefarious. But anyways, yeah, looking back, you can kind of see these things happen way back. So are we living in a real Truman-esque world here? Is that what's happening? Is that why city planning, every small town in America kind of is set up the same, with the same little pattern, same little buildings, same location for certain buildings in certain towns? I have a really interesting map I want to show you guys too. With pentagrams, it shows certain areas in the United States where things have occurred. And I didn't know till yesterday that the Kennedy assassination actually took place on the 33rd parallel. I had no idea that's how that happened. And Tesla died, I think, on the 33rd floor in New York, in that Manhattan high rise, on the 33rd floor in like the 33rd room. Like how it's just so bizarre. And who has the energy to like set all this stuff up? So no, I don't believe, like, I do believe worldwide conspiracies are possible. Just like look at Santa Claus. The whole world lies to children for months on end, and they even put it on the news, right? So don't tell me that worldwide conspiracy isn't possible, because Santa Claus proves that it is. Just getting here. Hi, Katia. Always, Katia. Always. I pray for you all the time. Oh, most walking around are under that control. Yes, I'd agree with that. Okay, so what I want to, let's see here. Let's finish this. Since 1856, the name Baphomet has been associated with the Sabbatic god, or goat, sorry, image drawn by Eliphas Levi. Oh, that's an interesting name, composed of binary elements representing the symbolization of the equilibrium of opposites, half human and half animal, male and female, good and evil. Okay, now hold please. I want you guys to think about something. And again, this is trying to look at things through different angles, okay? And I almost want to get rid of that for a minute just to prove my point. So we're going to do this. The horns of Moses. Okay, so one of the biggest prophets, the Jesus archetype before Jesus was born, is Moses, from the Old Testament. Moses was allegedly born with horns, okay? Also, there's a lot of bad information on YouTube today. If you're going to listen to somebody bash another culture, you have to at least ask them, okay, have you been a part of that culture? Have you been on the inside of it? Because there's a lot of things that might look strange or demonic to us, but then when you get on the inside of it, you have a better understanding, much like people are with the Catholic Church. I was raised in Catholicism, and I know there's a lot of bashing about it. I understand people that harm children are monsters. I totally agree, but we also need to understand innocence until proven guilty. Okay, and I'm not here to debate who's good or evil or anything of that nature, because I can't say that. That's God's domain, right? And I want to stay in my lane. But I do want us to have open minds, because I don't want us to be fooled or deceived. So on old Catholic churches, little gargoyles, people would say, what are they doing with demons on the church? Why do they have gargoyles on the outside of their church? That looks wicked. A lot of mud flood people who don't understand architecture or the, let's say the church of the Dark Ages, or, the church of the beginning. Gargoyles were placed on churches as guardians. Okay, they are ugly because they're ugly to us, right? We are built different. We're different beings. Other humans with symmetric attributes, physical attributes, are what appeal to humans, right? You got the balance, the two eyes, a nose in the middle. Everything has its place. Gargoyles, some things that God makes look scary, but they're not actually scary. Remember, Satan can come as a being of light, okay? You have to understand that demon isn't necessarily, they do what they do, okay? That is their nature. They do what they do, and they do what God gives them ability to do. Okay, they have their purpose. So gargoyles, all those scary things you see on the spires of old Catholic churches, they were there to scare away evil spirits. That was the whole purpose of Halloween in the beginning. I know people are telling you how wicked it is now. But again, when you get information, you have to ask a couple of things. Who is this information coming from, and what is their agenda? It is the agenda of a whole lot of people. On TikTok, on all these social media platforms, on the ones that are being pushed. The end goal is to dismantle America piece by piece by piece. So they have to tear apart everything that makes America America. We all used to be considered Christian because we celebrated Christmas, and now they're saying it's a pagan holiday and wicked, so even Christians have stopped celebrating the birth of Christ. Do you see what I mean? It's a weird type of reverse psychology, and we're doing it. If someone else tells us something is evil, we stay away from it, and we don't even take it to God, when they might just be telling us that to keep us from something that might help us, for example. So we have to look at these things with fresh eyes sometimes. So I just want to tell you that because Baphomet is scary or looks this way, we don't know the inside story. We don't know the beginning of this story. God gives demons the word domain, okay? They have a set, for example, the state of Ohio, where I live, might have its own principality and power above it, its own angel, right? And the principality it has to work within is its area, and the power is its attribute, okay? So just because an angel falls doesn't mean those things are taken away. It just means they're misusing what God gave them, all right? So, for example, the spirit over America right now is a spirit of confusion. So we know that the spirit of confusion has domain pretty much over all America. So how do we get rid of that spirit of confusion? Well, first we might need its name. Is Baphomet a spirit of confusion? Well, it does have balances of both genders, okay? So again, we have to not look at that in a dirty way, okay? We really do. We have to get away from looking at human bodies as being inherently dirty or wicked, or nudity as evil. That's not what is evil. Even in the garden, we were comfortable being naked until shame came along, and we felt the need to cover ourselves. God was happy with us running around naked. He did not care because we were innocent and we didn't constantly have thoughts of wickedness in our head. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Some people on this fight are fighting for the wrong reasons. It's not so much the human body that's wicked, or that, it's okay to show children a certain amount of violence on the news, right? But if there's a naked body in a painting, for example, well, we shield their eyes and take them away from it. There has to be some balance here, because I can see classical art and Renaissance art being destroyed, which would be tragic, just because people say that it's dirty. We cannot go to one radical extreme or the other. We need to be well-balanced individuals. And I think it's interesting that Baphomet represents balance. But again, I'm not saying we should worship this thing. I'm just saying, has it been attributed to the wrong side maybe? Or is it what everybody is looking to right now, right? So again, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate. I realize that. I realize what I'm doing, but I'm doing it purposely and with a, goal intended. So we see this here, that this is a known part of mind control. And this deprogramming wiki and the sites like Svali and Fritz Springmeier, they've been around for years and years, since at least the advent of YouTube, and I've been watching it and seeing information like this float around for that long. So, where was I at? Fiddle-dee-dee. They know not what they do. An illustrated guide to programming. Undetectable total mind control. Fiddle-dee-dee. Seeing a lot of this, like chainless slaves. We could say that we're dealing with a lot of this today. Is a great information resource which details insightful information to trauma programming. This book is authorized by Welcome Ozian, and he's active on the Tumblr account, blah, blah, blah. Trauma programming, trauma-based programming. Section of subjects. Okay, so this is what I wanted to look at too, was hypnotism. Hypnosis for programming, hypnotic surgery, that's, oh God, hypnotic implants, brain frequency list. And again, this is what they're using right now a lot, is that frequency. And for example, if they're sending out a frequency, if people are right and 5G is sending out this frequency, I'm not saying it is, but if it is, if you are unclean in your system, if you are eating lower level vibrational products like fake food, like food in a box, like meat that has not been properly butchered, okay? Because we're not supposed to eat the blood at all. It needs to be, the Jewish people are right about that. That's why they have their meat done specifically in kosher and all this, because it's all separated. But the cleaner you are inside, the less these frequencies will be able to control you. Once you take control of your own dominion, okay, and you don't let demons have control of your domain, once you're the master of your own domain, you can control your own frequency through the music you listen to, because music is food for the soul, through the books that you read, through the art that you look at. There's some music I listen to, it hurts. It actually hurts my heart. That's how moving and pure it is. Certain violin pieces, certain songs, they make my heart ache. They're so good, right? Through our own behavior modification of ourselves, we can divert or have these frequencies kind of ricochet off of us and not control us if we are in control of our own domain. Okay. So this is interesting. This is a different resource. And again, this is what they do. Every tab has a PDF or a book download. So this is a bunch of different resources, which I really like that somebody took the time to put all this together. Okay. So here you can see a little bit of the table of contents, and you can see there are people out there trying to detect when this is happening, who it's happening to, how to divert it, right? And bringing us this information. But if people don't know to look for the information, they have no idea it's even out there. And this is what people like me try to do, is bring awareness to these things. Wow, no thumbs up. You guys are cold today. Cold. Let's look at that. I'm interested real quick. 7 brain frequency list, chapter 7. Every part of a subject's body vibrates to its own rhythm. This is fascinating to me. And we are going to open back up and look at mirrors a little bit after this, before and along with the Hopi prophecy, because mirrors were believed to be portals to another place or another time. And of course, you can get that other time if you turn it into a scrying mirror. I'm not saying these things are good. They're obviously occultic practices. However, if we understand again how these things are done, then we can hopefully avoid them. I would like to know why we're in backwardsville and everything is inverted upside down and inside out. I suppose it's the Antichrist time. I don't think we changed places. I think this place changed, or rather, the beings in this place changed and were brought down to a lower frequency almost all at once. That's what made me feel like there was a spiritual rapture, and all of the higher frequency souls or spirits had ascended, and turned into light beings, didn't need their old bodies any longer, because of how quickly and how rapidly I saw this decline in human behavior all over the internet. Because like I said, I'm always online. I always have updates coming through or something playing on autoplay, news and stuff or whatnot, just to keep up with certain things. I don't have cable. I haven't watched it in years. Jersey Shore kind of did me in for cable. I was like, no, that's enough. Excuse me. All right, you guys are here. So let's see what frequency has to do with this, because frequency and hypnosis, Ericksonian hypnosis, I believe can be used in conjunction. I think they can be used together to affect a subject's thoughts and behavior, okay? So every part of a subject's body vibrates to its own rhythm. The brain has a unique set of brain waves, and we know this through brain mapping. TIs talk about this a lot, about how people's brain can be mapped so that their behavior can be predicted through an algorithm. So this is where we get into that AI transhumanistic type of territory as well. So you see all of these things do come together and work in spite of or symbiotically together to form this augmented reality and to form an NPC-like shell around people because they are so deep into the mind control. Okay, person is still there, maybe. Like I said, I'm on the fence as far as a spiritual rapture occurring back in 2018 because I know things got very strange. But I also know that it could just be people's reprobate behavior finally coming to the surface and them not hiding it any longer. So I'm not so naive, that I think that's not possible too. Okay, still no thumbs up. You guys aren't liking this. Okay, so there are 5 distinct brainwave frequencies. And again, how did they name the variants of CV? They all had to do with brainwave frequencies. And this is why different stages of sleep are also labeled this way, because your brain changes frequency as it has different consciousness levels. And sleep would be your deepest level of your conscience being unaware and your subconscious coming to the surface, if I understand that correctly. I go as far as my current understanding as well. Please jump in and help me because science is not my best area. But y'all know this, and I try to break things down from a spiritual nature, and to layman terms to show people that God is still working, there is still hope, and there's freedom in Christ. Now, how do you get freedom? That's from claiming your own sovereignty and free will again. But again, let's look at this real quick. Beta, alpha, theta, delta, and gamma. The brain works off of waves that are less than 16 hertz. The human ear can't hear anything below 30 hertz. If one ear hears 100 and the other ear hears 104, the brain will hear a ghost beat of 4. 4 is the theta delta frequency on the border of sleep and waking that can begin an astral trip. That's fascinating to me. Focus 10 is just the starting point for astral travel. Focus 12, 15, and 21 and beyond are the real trip. When a subject astral projects, it changes the BEG pattern to a pattern called alphoid. I find that interesting too. And again, the verbiage and the terminology that they use are extremely important. Now, here we get into ELF, extremely low frequency waves. TIs, targeted individuals, claim that this is what is being used against them. I'm on the fence. I believe it's both. I believe it is demonic oppression and repression, because demons can do a lot of these same things that we're looking at that, well, basically, let's break it down, right? They're doing this with electricity. These things could not travel unless it was for electricity. And so you get into that EL, electric, L is Elohim, L is Michael, archangel. EL is an angelic suffix and or prefix. It means angel. So again, our angels, just higher frequencies, and the ones who fall that become demons are lower frequencies. Are they actually that frequency itself, or are they sentient beings? Yeah, but you can hear it. These things would be heard if it's the same. I'm not sure what you mean if you're talking about the elves there, the extremely low frequency. No, the point is you can't hear it, but it affects your brain waves, right? Your ear cannot hear it. It can't detect it. But your brain waves do. Just like teens, they can hear higher tones. Like dogs can hear higher tones than adult humans can. That's why they have dog whistles and things of that nature. And you'll even see that used in behavior modification and hypnosis sometimes. The alarm thing is also a thing. Right. I think I was just getting to that with Pavlov. Oh, the car alarm. Yeah. And that TI who went on a shooting spree, Truth Stream Media did a little documentary about him about 3-4 years ago now. And he had ELF written on his weapon of choice. If you're a TI, you know. I don't drive. That's why most people don't believe that I'm a TI, is because I don't drive and I don't do a whole bunch of documentation videos. There's no point in that for me. They pretty much have me cooped up in my home, or I walk everywhere I need to go. I walk for exercise. I ride my bike. I've taken pictures of the little messages left for me down in the trails in the forest. I've had the same people kind of follow me. I've had the Wi-Fi routers named FBI thing van, like most people. One of them is also named FCC monitor or something, which is really bizarre. Another one, when I went to the police station to report a violation that happened to my body. My main reason that I know I'm a TI is because of physical things that have occurred to me. I had these little letters too. Yeah, so anyway, I got a couple of notes in the mailbox that I didn't associate with that, but yeah. That's a thing, and people, like, I posted that in the community tab of that building, that little utility building in the trails down at the end of the road where I walk Sammy. That love you, F you thing, that was a tattoo that tattoo man, the one who told me he was a fallen angel, brought into my life or whatever. So I know that message was for me. And again, people don't believe you. They're like, oh, you're a narcissist. You focus on self all the time. No, really, that's why I do this, is to try and bring awareness, because I do love people. I do. And I even told God, I probably shouldn't tell people this, but I told God, if it's your will, I'll go through whatever it is I have to go through, whatever suffering or pain I have to deal with or torment, if it can be to the benefit of others, if my testimony can help others, if me suffering can somehow mitigate the suffering of my children and my husband for some of the things that they've perpetrated against me. But I also am not like most TIs. I know that I did things that were abominable, things that I should not have done. And this is why I started looking into hypnosis and demonic issues, is because I did certain things that were totally against my character, my belief system, my value system, my core, who I am as a person. But they say these programs start to fall apart around 30. And after my dad passed away, my dad got sick when I was 33. And when he passed away, things steadily declined, and compartmentalizing for me became a lot more difficult, and I started to have flashbacks and memories of certain things. So yeah, a lot of the stuff doesn't really work on me anymore, but for me, it was in your face, very personal attacks through my own family and my own body and my food and my hair. Everything. And I don't talk about it a lot. A lot of TIs are like, well, you're a fake TI. This didn't happen to you. That didn't happen to you. There are certain things I'm not going to talk about. Number one, because my family is involved and we're not supposed to expose the people per se, but the evil itself. And I am not going to do that to my children. Or neighbors that I had come to love over years of being here. So I pray against the spirit of the thing. I might tell my story, but I won't give names of who did what, because some of them are very abominable, some of the things that happened to me. And I always know, when I talk to other TIs and I tell them a little bit about what happened to me, if they're not disgusted, then I know that their mind is somehow reprobate too. If people aren't disgusted by some of these things that are happening to us, there is something wrong with them and their compassion. And we're seeing that people's hearts are hardened. And that's the biggest obstacle that we're facing. And that's why it's so important to understand how these mind control and behavior modifications work, because they don't need concentration camps, folks. They got us set up in our own house. We can have junk food delivered to us now, anytime, any way, from any place. We sit on our own couch and get chubby while we watch our own MK Ultra programming through the device that the CIA made, which is the television. They MK Ultra us all every day in our home through the radio, through the computer, through the internet, through our devices, and through the television. And all of these are delivered how? They're delivered to us on different waves, different frequencies. Satan is the prince of the air. Not to be confused with wind itself, because Ruach HaKodesh, the Spirit of God, is said to bring, wind about at certain very specific times to aid prophets and whatnot. I'm talking about just the air in general, the airways, okay? I'm getting chubby, 15 kg, too much. No, I hear you. I've got a few to lose myself, but I am exercising, so we'll see. Delta is associated with deep healing and regeneration. Epsilon, that's very low, I believe, very slow. We have theta, which is REM. Okay, so theta, REM, the dream state. This is where most hypnotists aim to take their subject down to. Theta is where ideas, visualizations, and suggestions are more likely to enter the subconscious mind, and consciously subjects become less aware of what is going on around them. It is, and that's why I try to use my experience as a TI to the positive, right? I'm hoping I'm allowing it to refine me, to expel my anger, to monitor my behavior and the words that come from my mouth. I don't do the things that I used to do, or that I at least got lost for in a time. So yeah, I'm sorry this is turning out to be a little mishmash, but I like to talk to the people. You guys, I like to talk to you guys too, right? Like, I'm not a celebrity or nothing. I talk to my commenters. I think it is most is just supernatural, not part of these humans. But they are too grounded into this place and dangerous. And they are dangerous. And that's the problem, is I don't think any other human has the right to ruin this experience for another being. I don't believe in murder. I don't believe in killing, especially just for the purpose of killing. Dangerous for everybody, even themselves. Absolutely. And it is dangerous because they don't know what's happening to them, and they know not what they do. Christ said it. They don't know what they're even doing. And I don't think it's an act. I've had my loved ones not recall certain things that they said, certain things that they did to me. They have no memory of. None at all. But they also have no emotions. I can't remember the last time I saw a real emotion from my spouse, and he used to be very affectionate with me, with our children. He was a very loving person, even though he came from kind of an abused household himself. Um, we all have that good and that wild side to us. And he had a lot of potential. Now he is totally changed, and he is not like that at all. I can't remember. Well, I do remember the last time I saw real emotion from him. And one time when he really wanted me to believe him or to be swayed, he actually was running his hand under hot water. And I believe he did that to make his eyes water. So he would look like he was being sincere. And he didn't think I'd put the two things together, but I did. Because again, it's very obvious to a woman when the seed that comes from her own body is no longer in that body, and they are behaving differently. And it is very obvious to a woman who has lived with a man for a very long time to recognize when he's changed as well. Women are just that way. Women are made to be the nurturers. Women are made to be more spirit-filled. Mary was the redemption for what Eve did, and I believe what Eve did had to happen because that instilled free will in us. However, it seems like there is still a part of us that is broken because we tend to hurt one another a lot, deeply, all the time. And I believe that's what has to stop. That's just my opinion. I'm not a savior of anybody. I try to stay in my lane these days, but that's my 2 cents as far as what's happening and what needs to happen. Excuse me. Okay, so that's where they aim to have you. Okay, so if you visit a psychologist or you want to go for regression therapy, my biggest problem with that is you got somebody tooling around in your mind that has no love for you. They don't know you. You're just cash flow to them, if even that. They're also, they have an arm reached out to the government. So someone did apologize once for a weird she had towards me. So they kind of know, but most people don't know or act like they don't know. Yeah, and I think that's the problem, is unconfessed sins. That's one of the things that also made me start attending Catholic Church again, is because I think a lot of this is happening is because people aren't confessing their sins. They're not unburdening themselves. When you have a sin that is a secret and it is trapped within you, that gives a demonic element consent into your life. That's when oppression will begin, is when you have not confessed. That's why confession and repentance is huge. That's why Christ himself told us to do those two things. And that's why he told the apostles, pray and fast. You must pray and fast. And not just you, not just the person wanting deliverance, but the people helping that person to be delivered. The whole group of people, if they're praying and fasting, should be able to deliver anyone of anything within the matter of 72 hours, 3 days. But people don't want to do the work. We have gotten very lazy as a society, all of us. And again, I'm including myself because I'm a part of society. And it cannot change unless we are all aware and we're all making little changes to progress and to move forward in our daily lives. Because I think everyone has gotten very stagnant. It's almost like time is standing still right now. And that's why I want to look at mirrors and portals and time again in relation to Alice Through the Looking Glass and what CERN is doing. So that's going to be one of the next videos too. But I want you have to understand, you have to have a foundational understanding of how mind control works. And you have to understand it's a real thing. It's not science fiction. It's not some pseudoscience. It is legitimate because people who have weak wills are easily taken over by tactics like this. And if you will have a weak will if you're not using your willpower, okay? And people who don't deny themselves, people who have that second serving of food, people who have that dessert every meal, people who drink all the pop they want, people who gamble a lot, people who have a lot of fornication in their lives, people who, everything in excess, like the 80s. If you don't deny yourself, you're not exercising the muscle of your free will and your sovereignty. So then you're giving consent to these things, and it's kind of like lying by omission. You're giving passive consent because you're not saying anything at all. You're holding in your mistakes, right? Your sins. You're not unburdening yourself. And I don't mean you have to confess to a priest, although I do think it works very well if you do it that way. I would encourage it at this point. I never used to. I was anti-Catholic for a long time, and I believe that was with purpose. But anyways, so yeah, confess to God if you have to. Just unburden yourself, get these things out, and ask for God for forgiveness. And then if you can, do penance, do a penitence. If that person is still around and still available in your life, try and make restitution to that person. The more of these things that you do, the more of these acts that you do through your own free will, the more control you'll have over your own body, your own domain. You will be the master of your own domain. And the AC cannot sit in the throne of your mind, where the Holy Spirit is supposed to be, and call himself God, because you will be under control by yourself and the Holy Spirit that God gave you, and not a false Antichrist spirit. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, could you give me one thumbs up, guys? I don't know. Okay, so this tells you exactly how they get there, okay? And it shows you what degrees of frequency are related to what behavior. So although important for effectively functioning in everyday life, higher beta levels translate into stress, anxiety, and restlessness. Okay, so if you have a lot of stress or anxiety and restlessness, maybe you're on a higher beta level. And again, yeah, I kind of understand. Again, you have to monitor the music that is coming in your ear gates, your eye gates. Those are portals for positive or negative forces or entities or frequencies, higher and lower frequencies, to enter your, and what is that? Your aura, okay? The spirit right around your body, that your spirit is sort of like in control of what as well, right? That's how you control your own reality, is because your spirit isn't really completely contained in your whole body. It kind of like, if you could take a picture of it kind of, your spirit goes outside of the lines of your physical body. It's blurry. That's why certain things are blurry, certain people are blurry, is because that's your spirit. So anyway, don't ask me how I know certain things. I just do. They just the last 5 years has been wild. That's all I'll say. Since 2018, things have just been wild for me. Okay, so, and it says higher cycles of beta frequency usually equate to stress, anxiety, and overthinking as the conscious mind becomes misguided or reacts negatively to a given situation. This is why I tell TIs, do not be baited. The most important thing you can do is to gain control over your emotions. Do not allow yourself to be baited. Always use logic. Think before you speak. Don't react. You don't even have to respond. Okay? Sixth sense is a thing, and mine is very in tuned. And again, I don't say that to brag. And I've had people, that's one of the reasons, again, that I deleted a lot of content. I've had people just harass me endlessly over certain things. Some of us are in tune to our gifts. I'm at an age now where I definitely should be using such gifts. I don't believe they come from the demonic. And I do have some issue with Paul in certain parts of scripture and how certain things are spoken of. If it's a woman, they want to say she has a demon, but if it's a male, they say he is a prophet. Do you see what I'm saying there? So we really have to break certain things down, certain false beliefs that we've been given. Women are closer to spirit. Women are more likely to be oracles or prophetic than men, especially in these later days, in these last days. Okay, and it just is. It's just what is, right? And I don't, again, I'm not being arrogant. I'm telling you the truth because I'm trying to use this intuition and these how I'm guided to certain, how this links to that. I let the spirit lead what videos I do and what information I cover, and it does all end up relating to each other and our current situations. And if you watch them back at certain times, like right now is radical for me, seeing all the words that God brought to me over the last few years, the ones that were posted on the original Berean Jen channel, and they're all wrote down in my journals as well. So seeing all those things come true that God advised me of, all the things that I brought to you guys, is overwhelming, humbling, and a little frightening at times because it's like, okay, I really have to watch my P's and Q's. I have to be very careful because I don't want to offend God at this time, especially. What time is it? Okay, so I don't want to do this too long forever because I don't want to bore people. Seems like nobody's really into this. So again, I try to bring you guys what you think is useful. Okay, so now you've seen some of the beta waves and about frequency. So frequency is tied into hypnotism, and hypnotism is mind control. And a lot of these alien subjects, their stories were not heard until they went through regression therapy. Okay. Again, I have very high suspicion about that. And I'm very suspect of the fact that all the people that are reporting these things now are people in uniforms, policemen, military men, when a lot of them have been proven at this time to be highly morally compromised. They're working for the enemy. They're trying to pull off this alien deception, and they're silencing people like me so that people can't understand how this can be done as a deception. Samir says, once I heard something say it was a person's last day, and that night he died, was kind of ignoring him, and because he was drunk and wild, and because I ignored him, he was kind of sad, and at that moment, I walked away. I heard it. It's his last day. Yeah, I've had things like that too about certain people in my life. Like I said, I'll cry a lot and something bad won't happen right then, but it'll happen the next day. For me, it's kind of like things are in reverse, and that's why the through the looking glass kind of fascinates me because that's how I'm seeing everything take place right now. Everything is backwards and more stuff like that. Yeah, but like you said, the supernatural aspect of being a TI, all of these things that you're able to see and be exposed of, it's amazing. Okay, so we have all these different ones, and I showed you that gender confusion is a part of this, okay? So let's look at a few other things. We have end time programming, programming, right? Gatekeeper programming. That actually interests me. Go insane program, God Satan programming. And that's the thing. Some people will say, well, you're not actually talking to God. It's V2K. It's technology. I might believe that if the things weren't so consistent, the things that I receive, the messages and downloads, that's how people call it. I say it's answer and prayer. I pray to God, I talk to God, and then I sit there and I'm quiet and I meditate and I listen for God's reply. If it were all frequency or V2K, it would come with an agenda and it would be wicked. But all the things that I was told, like it's a season of exposure, like about gossip and how that was really big in people's destruction right now and how we had to stop doing that, about what areas and states to avoid, and now we're seeing that play out in real time. You know, for me, it's not V2K. I do believe it is higher intelligence. And do with that as you will. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to believe me. But I'm here sharing for the sake of others so that others won't feel alone. They won't feel, you're not insane. You're not crazy. These things are happening. And unfortunately, we have nefarious, greedy people perpetrating things like this against those who are more kind-hearted, soft-hearted, and trusting. And if we can equip ourselves with the knowledge of what's happening, we can better avoid it. Here's the thing, too. If you call these people out about what they're doing, they have to stop and go back to the drawing board. I've done that so many times now, I think they're exhausted with me. If you call them out, because that is considered to be exposing evil, if as they're trying to do something to you, you say to them, wait a second, you're perpetrating something, you just dropped the number 33, I saw you just give the other guy a hand sign, and I know this because this is an event that happened in my own life I'm talking about. It was in my own kitchen. Haven't seen that guy since. Haven't seen him come around since I called him out for talking in code to my spouse. He has not come around. Haven't seen him. So when you call these people out on what they're doing, if you recognize it, if you recognize the speech that they're using, if you recognize that they're talking oddly and certain things are highlighted, that is them trying to gain consent to either end you or to have you compromised in some type of demonic oppression, repression, or possession type of way. You could be taking notes because these are important factors in retaining your own sovereignty and possibly in freeing others, your loved ones. So again, I give this information out because it comes from personal experience, and then I do the research to see, okay, am I going insane, or is there a precedent for what I'm experiencing? And I think that's the proper way to do research. I'm not looking for or just showing biased research. Okay. Sometimes it takes me a long time to sort things out because I have to get rid of my own personal paradigm because it doesn't fit. Right. Because we see there's all kinds of different programming. Hypno sleep. This actually interests me because I think this has happened to me before. Like I've just fallen asleep without any warning. Suicide program placed in the system during the deepest levels of hypnosis. Oh, well, that's not what I thought. Hourglass programming. And see, that's interesting because those... Oh, okay, that's different. The triangles represent male and female. So I just want to... Iceman programming that ensures the balance of the system is maintained. An internal part must be selected for this programming. This part must have access to system codes and keys. So what they're saying is that part of this person's personality now will have access to the system codes and keys, but that actual person, their true consciousness, won't have any knowledge of this. Okay? So this is very complex. They literally give a person an alter ego to carry out certain tasks and then go to sleep when the true person awakens, right? And they don't remember any of it. None of it. I can't tell you how many times, like, I started getting a clue something was happening to me when I was waking up with bruises all over me and sore in places where a woman should not be sore. So this can be devious. And again, is it because my family was programmed and they don't realize what they're doing? Or do they know what they're doing and they were trying to program me? All the evidence actually points to the fact that they wanted to get me with a demon. And I think that's what they're trying to do now by stopping the gathering, by limiting people's gathering abilities, right? By limiting their travel, by isolating and secluding people away from the workplace and alone in their homes. You're an easier target oftentimes for demonic oppression, repression, and possession, especially if you have a weak will. The best thing you can do now is to take your sovereignty back and start working on your willpower. Start with baby steps. Deny yourself small things, right? And sleep alone. Do not These people want access to you while you sleep. Sleep with earplugs in if you have to. Be very careful about falling asleep with your device. I know this because I've woken up to certain strange things that I did not, put on my phone or whatever. But these are small things that you can do to buffer yourselves against these electronic and spiritual attacks. Okay. Jacob's Ladder program is a spiritual program that leads to the subject's higher understanding of spiritual beings. Okay, now is that legit or no? Janus programming, dual programming. This programming can work as a reset. Gee, remember all that talk about reset? And I told you it wasn't the monetary system. It was us they wanted to reset, I believe, because too many people were clean eating, taking care of themselves, and spirit and donating, helping their neighbors and whatnot, spreading that love around. Too many people were ascending. And so they wanted to reset our mentalities and or our spiritual frequency. This programming can also be used to ensure the subject does not trust others. Sounds like me. The subject is programmed to believe in the dual nature of God, individuals, and themselves. Individuals are good and bad, sane and insane, trustworthy and untrustworthy. That does sound like me. Janus programming can be used with hourglass for the passage of time. Future events and past events can be connected with Janus programming. Ah, okay. That's weird. That gets deep. Let's skip that. Okay. So that gets into more the terms and whatnot. I really wanted to see if I found a specific one for some of what we're seeing now. Okay, now this tells you about the book that they have attached, types of internal worlds and types of altars. This tells you about the different parts of a person and how they use scripts for a system. They might use movies, right? And they seem to be doing a lot of that right now. So this is another resource, okay? This is another book. And it tells you, again, how these parts are hidden from each other, and then how they're like symbiotic in nature. So do you welcome these parts? Do you have to break them down and get them removed? And then who do you trust? If this happened to you through hypnosis, how do you trust somebody new to remove this stuff? Okay. Then you have a gatekeeper, an actual gatekeeper part of that person's personality to keep all these systems compartmentalized and separate from each other, so the right hand does not know what the left hand is doing. All right. Clone parts. And look at how big. Look at how, it just never ends. Deaf and dumb, Delta series, devil parts, degrader, delusion, deceiver, destroyer. Everything. Egyptian armies. That's interesting because we're seeing a rise in the Babylonian or Egyptian ways at this point. Wow, so this is very interesting. Okay, so this talks about all the different altars that they can program a person with. The Moon Child, that's Aleister Crowley talk. Okay, so again, we have it just never ends, right? Like, common internal worlds structure, okay? So you see, we have all kinds of, people spend their lives creating this so that people have resources and so that you're not just crazy, right? These things are happening. They do exist. Oh, and I wanted to show you guys something, and I might do some video on this. I find this super interesting, but again, I am different than most people. And I know this, so it's not a big deal. All right, so what I was looking up the son of Anton LaVey. I actually want to do a video of that for a very specific reason because of where he lives. And I can't find a single picture on the guy and no information, which is very bizarre for this day and age. But these people, again, knew this was coming, and they know that it's probably not a good idea to be online at this point and not be a part of facial recognition and all that type of stuff. Okay, so what I wanted to look at, of David asking Now, this is where we get into high strangeness. I talk about this a lot, but I want you guys to see it. So right here, Psalm 3, okay? I will not fear the tens of thousands drawn up against me on every side. Arise, O Lord, deliver me. O my God, strike all my enemies on the jaw, break the teeth of the wicked. I'm going to do a short video on this so other people can see it. This has to do with masks. Now, again, I say that the reason they do things is like 20-fold. The masks were A, to hide the image of God, B, to hide the breath of God, C, to hide people's face so that they're not recognized by facial recognition and they can carry out lawless acts in this time of lawlessness and face no repercussions or justice for that. But also, it would seem to cover teeth. Now you're going to be like, Jen, this is really weird. Like, what in the heck are you talking about now? I do not understand what you mean. So that is Psalm 3:7. Are you going to pull it out? There we go. Maybe not. It's just going to give me, tell me I can buy the book. Come on, guys. Okay. Anyways, we have this. We see that it's in Psalm 3:7. I don't think I have my Bible up at this point. So rise up, Lord, save me, my God. You strike all my enemies on the cheek. You break the teeth of the wicked. Okay, so I read this aloud back in the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And this is where you get into a little fringe territory. If you ever saw the movie The Neverending Story, about how the child ended up being a part of the story and how it was written as events unfolded. After I read this aloud, I noticed how many people around me have no teeth. Now, again, I'm not being prejudiced here. It has nothing to, this is a spiritual introspection, okay? I know certain things happen. People are born with certain issues. People have certain issues, don't have dental care, whatever. I hear you, okay? But I'm talking about quickly degrading and just losing. I don't know if losing or if they're pulled, because I have seen some folklore about this recently in other movies that, again, I'm going to do a video about this. Maybe I'll do an upload on this today, just a regular upload. But for you guys that are here now, I noticed that people who were wearing the masks were also having a lot of dental work. And I noticed that people close to me, in a high ratio, right? When you realize that like there's a high ratio of something occurring, that means it's not organic, it's not natural, that something is causing that. For example, they will sometimes do research and say that there are cancer clusters in certain areas, and that's when they begin to suspect it's something in the environment. Well, I noticed that everyone around me, after I read this aloud, I had like that never-ending story moment. I noticed that a lot of people around me that I thought were my friends all had teeth trouble. That guy who walked into our life and told me when we were alone that he was a fallen angel, he was in the process of losing a tooth while he was hanging out with my husband. He was always putting that stuff, over-the-counter glue and stuff in his tooth. He was actually losing a tooth. And he also said he was born with extra teeth, which is a Nephilim characteristic. Is it true, or was I just being psyoped? I don't know, but it was true enough for me. That man being in our lives changed us forever, and we are not the same family anymore that we used to be. Moving on. So I noticed that people, and this gets, I had an interaction the other day that you'll want to hear about. So I noticed that a lot of people around me didn't have teeth, and that in this time of wearing the masks, a lot of people were getting dental work done. And now there's even ads on YouTube about regrowing your natural teeth with just this gel, or get these false teeth on Amazon that look real, you know, so that you can wait on the dentist, or you look okay while you wait on your dentist. Again, I'm not picking on anyone because I have a couple people very close to me who are young and lost or had to have their teeth pulled at a young age. And I started looking back in my life and how many people I knew like this. See people as energy. Some will be lower. Protect yours at all costs. Right. That's a very good point that Katia brings up. Again, this is why I don't reveal names of people who've done certain things to me. I believe it is the spirit that they are carrying around right now, that attachment that they have. This is why I say to love everyone and forgive everyone, and to pray against the spirit of a thing, not a person, but wickedness itself. Okay, so anyway, I started to notice that everyone around me that I had trusted did not have teeth, even very young people. Even a couple people that had smaller channels that I follow on YouTube had these issues. And I mean, they were young people. They're not older people who had went through their life with bad dental care or anything like that. These are young people. Now you might say that's attributed to drug use. Is it really? I had times in my life where I was using substance, and I liked this one substance so much that I would rub it all over my gums. I liked the taste of it. I know it's weird. I'm weird like that. And I've always had a high tolerance because I was in and out of hospitals all the time as a child. So I did this for months on end. Didn't get a single cavity. I am 45. I have one partial filling for one cavity in my entire life. Why are the young people around me losing their teeth and using their masks to hide it? So this is weird. Weird. For example, a girl at the Family Dollar says to me, "Hey Jen, you shouldn't apply over there at the other dollar store because that girl was talking about you." "Oh, thanks for the heads up. Thought she was a sweet girl. Always got along well with her. She was nice to me. Next time I go in, she's got a mask on again." And I said, "Oh, are you guys doing that again?" And she said, "No, I just had a tooth pulled and I want to make sure, I don't want to show it." And I said, "Oh." Then I saw a neighbor who actually had told me things in the beginning of all this. She said, "Did you know the cops are watching your house?" I said, "No, I didn't know that." She was a neighbor who went to my wedding and actually warned me against marrying this person. Wouldn't tell me why or anything. And then she asked me for certain electronic evidence that I still have, and I believe is one of the reasons I'm still alive. She said, "Well, if you need to trust somebody, you can always give that to me." Okay? Oh, thank you, Katia. And right then when she said, "You can give that information to me," I knew she couldn't be trusted because she offered. She didn't wait for me to tell her I had information. She just said, "Well, I had a friend once who was in a similar situation, and she let me hold, these pictures of her bruises or this, that, or the other. And I have that, but I also have phone numbers and stuff that were frequently called by certain people and call lists and screenshots of where certain vehicles were on certain days. And it makes certain people look very bad. If I can put it together, then so can a layman, or so can a FBI agent, which again, most of them are crooked, as we know. But anyways, so I see this woman again, this woman who I thought was my friend and neighbor. And I used to always see her even though we weren't neighbors anymore because she would work at the dollar store putting up cards. But then I didn't see her for like 2 years since this last time. I didn't see her. I didn't realize at the time she did have a couple teeth missing, but again, it's not something I focus on. When I saw her the other day again at the dollar store after 2 years, she did not have a mask on and she was talking to me and she did not have any of her teeth. And I guess she wanted to give me a reason for that. She was catching me up on her family and she said, "Oh yeah, I figured I just wouldn't wear a mask. I would just go without one and get used to it." As if everybody has been told already that if they're having dental work, they're supposed to wear a mask. Because she was apologizing to me for pretty much not having one on since she had just had teeth pulled. But now this person that I thought was my friend is also missing all of her teeth. My spouse had to have the majority of his pulled in his early 30s because they had gone bad. And it says right here that the enemies of God and the enemies of the Davidic line, David asked him to crush their teeth, to crush the teeth of the wicked. So is God still doing this? Can we look at somebody, for somebody like me, example, who doesn't know good from bad all the time? Because, again, I don't want to judge that. I don't want to judge other people. So sometimes I see the best in people even when it's not there. Is God giving me this physical sign to look at people and know, okay, that person's not my friend. Even though I think they're my friend, they're not my friend. Is God giving me this physical indicator so that I can better
operate? And I'm asking you, again, I'm not being prejudiced. I'm not being hateful. I'm just saying, is it possible that God is still doing this for the wicked ones who are the enemies of him and the Davidic bloodline? Because if possible, then that is why I am seeing nothing but people around me with no teeth or false teeth. Literally, there's almost nobody around me anymore. Watch YouTube. Watch and see how many people are having teeth problems or have had teeth pulled. It's bizarre. Like once you note it, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So I wanted to bring up this factor. They blame it as a fault. Right, right. Everything's getting blamed on that right now. But they knew this time. They knew they were going to do all these things. And I say, if anyone has to get a plague next, it should be all the people in uniform who are not living up to their oaths and protecting and serving people. Because we've got a lot of firefighters, we've got a lot of military men, a lot of policemen, a lot of people who have taken oaths to help, serve, and protect, who are hindering, harming, and definitely not serving. So if anyone should get it next, it should be them. So watch for that. 2 comments we're not showing. I'm sorry. I know it's jive. I'm going to run now. I'm going to end this one because it's been over an hour. I have to use the little girl potty. And I got to get up and get Sammy moving a little bit more because it's been raining all morning. So I'm going to do a shorter video prayer on the teeth thing. I might upload that. There's a few things I got going on right now. We're still going to look into the Hopi and the mask. We're going to look into that tomorrow, or we'll do the mirrors and the opposite world. What am I thinking? Alice into the Looking Glass. We'll either do that phenomenon tomorrow. I still want to redo the Jim Carrey phenomenon too for those who are new and did not see that put together along with the fairy tale video, because fairy tales have been very key in real things that are happening that I've found. And unfortunately, a lot of those things have to do with cannibalism. Witch is not someone who plays with stones, which I believe in the Bible meant cannibal. Just look at Hansel and Gretel and what the witch was. Okay? And it's funny, witches in The Wizard of Oz, the witch melts by water, right? Witches don't like water. Why? I don't know. Probably because it's indicative of new life, maybe. But demons also, if somebody starts getting foul habits and they never had those habits before, demons like things messy and disordered. Okay? If a demon is attached to somebody, you will see their habits begin to falter. They will become more cluttered. They will become more messy. They will become downright unhygienic, some of them, if it's that bad. Okay? Not to be confused with mental illness, although I do think these two cross over a whole lot. But I'll probably do a survey on what you guys want to see and let me know. I might put up Sammy's PayPal link just for a little help this month because I'd like to take the tent and go camping, and I haven't fully paid off the tent yet. And I'm sleeping on the floor again with Sam because I gave my son the bed that was bought for me because he needed one, and I thought he was more important than me. So long story short is I can't really do the videos that I want to do face to face from the floor. So I might have to go on a payment plan for one of those Japanese style floor beds or something. I'm still thinking about that. The smearing of... Oh my gosh, yes, there's a demon assigned to dung. That's why we're seeing that everywhere. I did a video on that too. I don't know if it's on this channel or if it was on the other one. But there is a demon. I think it's hold on, I'll remember. I think it's Beelzebub. Beelzebub or Balthazar. One of those two that's why the dung beetle, you have the dung beetle as like this big thing in Egyptian hieroglyphics. You see this beetle? It's a dung beetle, right? And so there's a demon that likes poo, a demon over poo. It's gross. It's disgusting. And yes, that's one of the reasons we're seeing poop emojis everywhere. And I also believe that's why John prophesied that people will be incontinent in the last days. He might have had a vision of the poopy emoji and had no idea what it meant, because I wouldn't either if I saw it. Yeah, there are conspiracy videos about it. I know. Maybe I started that one too. It's good to see some of the stuff that we started on the original channel becoming bigger now. You see people talking about the things that we've been talking about for 4 years now. So that's actually rewarding, and I'm glad the messages are getting out there. But I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Sorry it's been a little disorganized, but again, this is all leading to two very specific topics or videos, which is the Hopi one with the iPad Go 2 mask, and the Alice in Wonderland regarding CERN and this mirror world we're kind of living in right now. But anything else you guys want to see too, always just leave a comment. I'm going to go turn comments on as soon as this video posts. So please, if you want to pitch in or chip in, with your 2 cents and add to the conversation, please do. That is so gratifying when we can all just kind of talk together. And I do try to reply to all comments. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not an actress. I'm not a comedian trying to make it on YouTube. It'd be nice to get paid, but I'm not going to go through the effort to make a polished channel if it's not going to be monetized. And chances are it won't be monetized because I don't monitor my speech. Nobody's really going to change the words that come out of my mouth. That's just, we're given free will for a reason, and I think we should use it. So I love you guys. Remember to stretch those muscles of free will. Remember to remove your consent and agreement with any demons that you might have accidentally come into agreement with. Say things like that aloud once a week just to clear your space. And if you're interested in more on consent and the demonic hierarchy and where we fall in the God's hierarchy and where the demons fall and how you can kind of have control of your own space again, let me know, because I think we'll do a face-to-face video with question and answers on consent and agreement, so that you guys and me now, we can avoid these pitfalls and not come into agreement with ideals or spirits or values that are not our own. Okay, I love you guys. Have a blessed day. We'll talk soon.